He's a big kid. Last time I'm gonna tell you. Shut the up.
Michael Ganitos and Brantley Miller were dispatched on a bogus 911 call made by a jealous cheerleader that wasn't invited to a high school birthday party. Nicholas Booth was dropped off by his mother just 10 minutes prior to the officers' arrival. These officers were about to rob him of his senior year of football, breaking his shoulder in an egregious act of cop ego.
It'll be okay. Calm down.
My mom is an officer. Stop right now or you're next to a handcuff. You understand? I'm sick and tired of fighting with you guys. I don't want you guys unless I speak to you or he speaks to you. Do you understand? Let me stay off your phones too. Put them down on the ground. All of it. What's your last name? Hey, guys, shut the up. Shut the up. He's a big kid. He can figure it out on his own. He can sit over there crying in the corner. It's okay.
Officer Brantley Miller's body camera conveniently malfunctioned that evening, allowing him to interject a false narrative that Nick bowed up to them, thus justifying their unconscionable actions. This is Nick's long-awaited chance to tell his side of the story. A copy of the lawsuit is included at the end of the interview.
There was a house party and
There was a minor in danger.
yeah,
So they say
that allegedly there was a minor in danger.
it's a false 911 call because it came from a neighborhood clear across town. And it was a couple of girls that allegedly didn't get invited, but it was not an invitation only party. And so they just wanted to
Throw a little prank in there. I walked in, immediately met with a couple of buddies. One of them looks me down the eyes. He's like, dude, follow me upstairs. Your jersey's upstairs. It's waiting on Bryson's bed for you. And we walked up. I grabbed the jersey. I threw the jersey on. It was a nice Scottie Pippen jersey. Nice Bulls colors, everything like that. I was like, I don't know. I have zero clue who this guy is, but threw the jersey on. One of my buddies, Mason, he was like, hey, you want to go upstairs? We're, doing like silly TikTok trends or whatever, So we go upstairs and that's where me and like 4 other people, including Mason, maybe 5, we're all just in there making TikToks, doing, what teenagers do. Someone banged on the door and I swing that door open. I'm met with a uniformed officer and I was like, oh, that's not Bryson. He had a flashlight on my face and he said, get downstairs now. And I said, you got it. I just knew, like, just do your thing. Don't do anything to get in trouble. Everything's going to work itself out. They asked one of the girls what her name was, and she said her name and then with an A or something like that, which is, it's like a funny joke because people spell her name wrong all the time. It was like something snapped. And immediately, at least my blood, and I'm sure everybody else's blood ran pretty cold because just out of nowhere, one of the officers is, all right, everybody shut the up. We're trying to be cool with y'all, but this isn't a joke. It was in that moment that, reflex kicked in and all I said was, yes, sir. The other officer pointed at me and he goes, and you, Scottie Pippen, and, I don't know who Scottie Pippen is. So I turn around, I'm like, who's he pointing at? Who's Scotty? Lo and behold, he's pointing at me and he's like, I'm done with your attitude. Pointed at me, told me to get up. I stood up in non-threatening way with my hands like this. And I said, what did I do? I was just being respectful. And as soon as I walked up to him, the other officer, the one who was cussing before, grabbed my right wrist and he started putting it behind my back. He didn't say anything. He just started putting my right hand behind my back. And I said, whoa, hang on. What did I do? Whoa, whoa, whoa. And it was at this moment the other officer grabbed my other hand and they both pushed me against the wall and they lifted me off the ground. I could feel my fingers touching the back of my neck. And then something out of a sick, twisted horror movie, you hear pop. just like that. I'm immediately in pain. My feet are dangling from the ground like I'm getting held up by my neck. And it was the most gut-wrenching and searing pain that I've ever felt in my entire life. And when they slammed me on the ground, that's when the shoulder had popped back into place. And that's where the damage was done. Because of subluxation, which is what happened to my arm, is when the humerus pops out and then pops back into the shoulder, but it breaks going back in. So obviously I felt it go out, and I was like, oh, ow, whoa, what's going on? And then when they threw me against the ground, threw my back against this cabinet/vanity thing, it popped back into place, and I immediately felt the break. And that was unlike any pain I've ever felt in my entire life. I wouldn't wish that upon anybody. While I was sitting there crying, begging for help, begging them, telling them that they did something to my arm, while my friends that I've known for 12 years were sitting there trying to console me and say, hey, Nick, everything's going to be okay. They looked one of my best friends of 12 years in the eyes, and they said, hey, he's a big boy. You keep it up and you're next.
Stop right now, or you're next one handcuffed. Do you understand? I'm sick and fucking tired of playing with you guys. I don't want you guys to fucking talk unless I speak to you or he speaks to you. Do you understand?
And that's when I knew that I was just being used as an example. At that point in time, I had not gotten in any kind of trouble with law enforcement, with school. I barely had a tardy on my record.
He graduated with a 4.25 GPA. He got into college on his academics because football got tarnished. We couldn't go to any.
I still got to go and play college football, but not after every other college that I wanted to go to pulled out their offer from me after I got hurt.
Tech, OU, got accepted to all of these places. And we couldn't go to any more combines. We couldn't go to anything that summer because
most of it asked for a bench press, and it looks really bad when you show up and you say, oh, I can't bench.
He couldn't. And we couldn't. The doctor told him, the orthopedic surgeon told him, he said, okay, here's,
My orthopedic surgeon first initially told me, but when the injury happened, that even if I get the surgery, there's a chance I might never be able to play football again in my career. I wanted to kill myself because I couldn't fathom the possibility of having something I wanted so intensely being taken from me. If it wasn't for my family, that it was almost a miracle. If they weren't with me that same night, I was going to go to some measure of life.
I'm glad you didn't.
I am too.
Nick, again, thank you for sharing your story. Your willingness and courage to speak out brings awareness to issues that otherwise would have never been exposed to the sanitizing light of public scrutiny. Nick's story is a reminder that the badge of authority must not be allowed to become a license to harm. When those sworn to protect the innocent cross the line, it's up to each of us to demand accountability, defend our constitutional rights, and ensure that nobody else suffers in silence. If you or someone you know has experienced misconduct by law enforcement or any other injustice, we want to hear from you. Please reach out to me directly at ottothewatchdog@gmail.com. Your story could help bring about the change our communities need. The Fourth Amendment and our shared ethical traditions demand that no one, especially a child, should face brutal force for a noise complaint. The courts will decide the outcome, but we all must ask ourselves, what kind of society would allow this to happen? Proverbs chapter 21, verse 15, when justice is done, it brings joy to the righteous, but terror to the evildoers. Despite the numerous lawsuits and complaints against the Celina, Texas Police Department, nothing has been done to hold these officers or the department accountable. But we can change that, and it starts with awareness. I encourage you to visit the Celina, Texas Police Department using the link in the description and in the pinned comment of this video, and let them know that you find their behavior unacceptable. In Psalm 82, verses 3 and 4, defend the weak and fatherless, and uphold the poor and oppressed. Rescue the weak and the needy, and deliver them from the hands of the wicked. Law enforcement's duty is to protect the vulnerable, not oppress them. And these officers oppressed every kid in that room who knew to record what was happening by threatening them with the same violence that they just showed that they are willing and clearly capable of inflicting. In conclusion, Nicholas Booth's lawsuit is more than a legal dispute. It's a call for justice. Stay informed, stay vigilant, and demand justice. I'm Otto, and we are the Watchdogs.